All right. Hey, and welcome. I'm Nicole from Green Muse, and I am interviewing Lady Green Treats. I have Rachel and Tammy here with me. So welcome, you guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. So I'm highlighting your business because you guys have been in the cannabis industry for a while now, and I just wanted to honor you guys during Women's History Month. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. First, tell me about your business and how you guys got into the industry.
Well, I got my medical marijuana card a dozen years ago or so for some medical conditions that I have. And I started growing. And since I was a gardener already, grow veggies and things in my yard, I did really well with it. And all of a sudden I had an abundance and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I started with crock pots and various things in the kitchen, trying to make tinctures, and we made butter back then. And I mean, we've come a long way with our processes since then, but we started playing in the kitchen and making products. And then I had all these products I didn't know what to do with. So I started just giving them away. In the industry, I was on a couple of chat websites where there were other medical patients here in Oregon. And so started giving away products. And as soon as there were clubs and co-ops and those sorts of things, they were doing candy contests. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I'll enter a contest. And so won some contests, and that was fun. And people started asking, how do you get these products? And clubs and co-ops
It just sort of evolved organically from there.
Oh,
really.
wow.
It really has. They started making for a couple of clubs that were here, there were collectives, I guess, back then that were here in town. I was just making various products for them, tinctures and salves and cookies and candies and things. And I was teaching some classes on how to make candy for some medical patients. And so as soon as the dispensaries happened, we're like, okay, let's, see if there's a way to kind of like help provide to patients through them. And dispensaries would open up, and back, it was so easy in the beginning because they would call me. They'd be like, hey, you gave me a lollipop at Hempstock one time, and I remembered you, and we're opening up a shop. And so, okay, we'll come and provide there. And so in the medical days, I was just one of a few people who really were out in the open providing products. And we were providing the products, but the cannabis in it was just coming complimentary. That's how we did it at the clubs and co-ops back in the day. And so as soon as rec hit, we're like, well,
2016, right?
2016, we already had the OMP endorsement, so we switched it over to recreational. And so we just kind of like every time there's a change in the way things are done, we do it as legal as possible. So it's like now we're doing it in the rec market, and we still do everything exactly like we did in the medical days. I still make the RSO. I mean, I source it through OLCC approved farms.
Gross.
And make the RSO and make it into our products. So we haven't switched up to distillate or anything. I don't see any reason to improve the product beyond having medicinal value because
Still doing it the old school way.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's the best way to do it.
We sort of grew into this, and and we're kind of at a point again. It's just like, okay, like things are changing again in the market. Every couple of years it changes again, and you have to kind of like figure out, okay, how do you provide for this, because the rules are changing in April for dosages and things. And we've kind of learned not to jump too quickly because the rules will shake themselves out again by June or something.
True.
But we'll grow with it as it grows.
Awesome. That is so amazing. What a great story. Yeah, that's so cool. You guys started all the way from the beginning. So you've seen this industry evolve, and I'm looking forward to how it's going to continue to grow and change, especially once we get to the federally legal point, because I know that's coming down the pike any year now. So I'm super excited for that. Super excited to see how you guys grow throughout this industry. Yeah.
We're curious to see how we
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of answered my next question, which was how did you decide to enter the industry? And you just kind of did it organically with your lollipops, your suckers, people just coming to you and things like that. With the dosage change, do you think you're going to be changing the way the lollipops are now as well then?
I don't think the lollipops. The lollipops, if you put too much RSO in a product, it has a really bitter flavor. So the lollipops are a 15 milligram item. It actually has about 35 milligrams of RSO in it. So if we put much more in it, it would really change the flavor a lot. I think some of the other products we will evolve into a stronger item.
Or we'll provide more product in a package because, you know, we don't winterize out the chlorophyll. It's good for you if you're eating it. I mean, I can see if someone's putting in a smokable product, then it would be really harsh in your throat to leave the chlorophyll. But, you know, it's like eating your spinach. It's good for you. So we leave it in there. We don't winterize that out. And so, you know, we might, you know, we're thinking about maybe we'll make a package of something that has more Nugget Buddies in it or something that has 2 fudges in it. But we've kind of developed our recipes so that the RSO kind of complements the mint flavor or the dark mocha in the fudges. We've chosen those flavors because it's a strong, you know, the caramel says super Ganji caramel because, you know, there's a Ganginess to it. But you know, just like you like to taste a little bit of tequila in your margarita, we think people want to taste a little bit of, you know, a little bit of cannabis in their caramel too. But if you go too far, then it's like, you're chewing on hay, you know?
Yes. Well, I'm excited to hear that because the Nugget Buddies are my favorite product. I always have my cereal. The kids are like, what's that frosted cereal? I'm like, don't even worry about it. This is
that's not for you. That's for moms only.
Yep. I'm like, this is mama's cereal. So don't even ask me about it.
I love it.
Awesome. So being that you've been in the industry since inception, pretty much with the rec market, what challenges have you faced and how have you like overcome those challenges?
I think one of the biggest challenges is the regulation. Because it changes so often. About every 2 years, it feels like we're reinventing a lot of the labeling or the requirements. So I think the biggest challenge is to continually jump those hurdles and still be able, you know, we offer our edibles at one of the lowest price points in the industry. And it's something that we always believed in doing in the medical market is making something available to everybody at every price range, even if you're someone on disability and you have a fixed check every month, that there's something available to you. So with the change in regulation and we constantly have to scrap the old labels and go with new or packaging requirements, it's costly. So for a company
more
small,
testing, more control studies.
Yeah. So for a company small like ours, that's one of the hugest obstacles is the cost, really. We're trying to do it as inexpensively as possible, still make all of these regulation changes and
make our quality product like we always do, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. And I haven't seen a change in quality at all. Like I said, stuff is just lovely, tastes amazing. So I'm definitely a fan. And what advice would you give to other women in the industry or who are looking to get into this industry? Would you have any advice for them?
Do it. I mean, absolutely do it.
There's a place for everyone in this industry, I think. You have to find out where your talents are and what you can be good at. I mean, you can't just try to like vertically integrate immediately because you can't do all of those things and do them well. You have to know what you can do and
well, back in the medical days, I did tend the gardens and I did make the concentrate and make the edible. We did it all by ourselves and we're still the only ones, especially during this pandemic. It's just us doing this during this pandemic, but we don't do the gardening anymore. And, you know, we source from reputable farms that we work with that do, you know, have good quality practices so that we know we're using a good product, but I can't do everything. And so there is space for everybody in this, you know, the farms, you know, maybe their strong point is growing, but do they have people who are out there, you know, repping their products well, or, you know, it's like not everybody has to be growing or baking. There's all kinds of areas that we actually need services from various people. So find a need and jump in and provide it. I really do think a lot of people, it's not just a man's industry for sure. Like we've actually, I don't know, we've always just been like, you know, we're a couple of fat Jewish mamas providing edibles to people. I mean, and I think that like at Hempstock, if we were some, you know, greasy looking guys approaching people with goo balls, they're not going to receive it as well as, you know, somebody who can be approachable, and you're going to feel like, okay, the product she's providing is clean and, you know, well made and consistent. And I don't know. So I do think that I don't know, anybody who's wanting in the industry, jump in it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thanks for that advice. And then how does it feel to be in a male dominated industry? You touched on it a little bit, but do you notice it much, or do you just feel like it's kind of any other industry? What have you guys been experiencing in this industry?
Well, I think in the edibles side, we do encounter more women in that side of it. I think if we were on a producer side or how to grow, there's a lot more men in that side of the industry. I think the gardening is a more physical task to do. I mean, we used to do all of it, yeah, but she was working her tail off doing it.
But enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah, I think in the edibles, we definitely encounter more women than in grows. But
It's like with every industry.
Uh-oh. I think
Every industry is male dominated.
I lost that little part.
So
Kind of
it's just like with any, oh, sorry, I was just saying, like with like most industries that are male dominated, you know. So we're the youngest two of a family of 9. We were 8 girls and 1 boy. And so our brother has passed, but there's still 8 girls, and we're pretty strong, strong gals in our family. And so I don't know, I think with anything, you just have to go in and show that you're just as able and just as ballsy as any of the guys are, and don't feel intimidated by them, you know, because I'm raising young men, so I hope that you know, that the stigma won't always be there. That so many people will see that there's some really good guys in the industry, but like with any industry, there's also those who are in it for just the money, who are in it just for the wrong reasons. They're not trying to help anybody, or
they don't really have the heart. They're not putting the love in the product like we do. You know, they're in it just for the money. Or when regulations changed and people were able to come in from out of state, then we really saw a lot of people coming into Oregon just for the dollars, not because they were doing a medicinal product, trying to help people, trying to provide something inexpensive, but they were just looking at the cha-ching, cha-ching. And then you kind of flesh out the people who are in it for the right reasons. And we tend to work with dispensaries that are a little bit smaller shops, or mama and papas, or the local ones, because they have the right mentality that fits with us.
Yeah.
They're not really the corporate stores.
We don't have super flashy packaging. You know, we talked to a graphic designer in the beginning of Rec, and between the labels and the packaging and the designing, it was going to add about $1 to our products, which once you double that and tax out the door, patients are paying, you know, or customers, it's customers now, are paying a couple bucks just for a fancy package. And we just decided, no, we're going to stick to the same. We always did Mylar packaging with simple labels. It's not flashy, but once you try it, you realize, dang, that's a good product, and it's got a really good effect. So, you know, it's just a matter of
finding the people who jive with that mindset, who want the good quality product, but not necessarily looking for that corporate-y look. You know, we don't have
not everything has to be shiny,
Mylar shiny.
Awesome. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. And so my last question is, what is the greatest lesson you've learned since being in this industry?
Flexibility. Flexibility, really, to just continue to roll with the changes. And, you know, we are dealing in an industry that's, you know, on the evolving and on the forefront, you know. No one's done this before. We can look at some other states to see what they've been doing right or wrong. That's kind of an example, but we're all sort of learning at the same time. So giving a lot of grace to people in the industry who you realize, oh yeah, they don't know any more than we do. Let's ask questions. Let's be open to the dialogue and the conversation, but really just to be flexible, because
that's what even like when Rec first hit, we came out with low dose items, the low dose sludges, and the individual packs of jewels, thinking, you know, people who are trying edibles for the first time or new to it are going to want very, to microdose. And we do still provide, the jewels in packs of 20, and we have low dose fudges. But we quickly learned that, like, oh, people want what we call the one and done, or they want a package. People are eating multiple doses at one time. They're kind of titrating themselves, or building up tolerances and figuring out what they're wanting. And it's like, oh, okay. So then we had to figure out some stronger items. And we kind of thought, oh, the Nuggy Buddies, they're, stronger. I can very easily eat a cup of Nuggy Buddies. But then people were like, I don't want to have to eat that much to get my dose.
Yeah.
I have stomach problems, or I just can't eat that much. So it's like, oh, then we came up with the fudges and the caramel that are 50 milligrams in a single piece, or 14-gram piece, because you can cut that up into dosages, or you can drop that in a cup of cocoa, or you can quickly eat it.
Ooh,
and get your whole. I did that last night and slept like a baby.
Hey.
But so it's like we've had to kind of, even the products have had to evolve, because people will mention that, oh, hey, I need something that's a little bit easier. Okay, we'll add some mint to something that's good for your tummy, or so it's like Tammy's right. The flexibility is huge. Well, I mean, another lesson we've also learned, like Tammy was saying before, we're sort of finding our people in it. We are still in this to provide a product. We are in the recreational market, but we're still trying to provide us something that is more than just mind, give you the mind altering part. We want you to feel all of the body effects. That's why we leave all of, we don't isolate out a distillate. We use all of the cannabinoids and make an RSO. And so it's like some shops really don't care about that. They're like Tammy said, they're into pumping out products. And so we've
those are the ones that we don't jive with as well.
So we've kind of learned that, like, we're a very small company. We can only provide so many products to so many places, and we don't need to be in, so many places. We can get our products out there to people and kind of direct them to the shop that do have our products. And we don't have to. I don't have to be in all 450 shops.
We can't.
I don't want to be. So we would like to get into a few more that are in a little bit outer areas. We're well represented in the inner Portland area, but there's there are people out in other areas of the state that can maybe use our products. But we don't need to be corporate. That's not what we're doing.
No.
Yeah. Awesome.
Doesn't fit for us.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Our business is very small as well. And we're local from the town. And so we're mom and pop shop. So we're right up your alley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
We find our people.
And
Yes.
Portland born and raised too.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Like we said, sometimes the people who are coming from out of state just to open up a shop, those aren't necessarily the people who we work long term with. We probably provide products to their customer base if they're interested, but we do tend to work with the small shops just to be, for that same point, like, oh, you're a Portland kid like we are.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Shout out to the Rose City. And then this is my last and final question. What is your favorite Nuggy Bud, or what is your favorite Lady Green treats?
Hers is
Yours
obvious.
is
Nuggy
Nuggy
Buddy.
You know mine.
What's your favorite?
I think overall, I always go back to the lollipops. Like, I really do. I mean, I love caramel and I love fudge. In the past, we had so many different products in the medical days. But I think it's the lollipops. They're so easy. I mean, they are only 15 milligrams of THC, but it's about 35 milligrams of RSO. You suck on it, so you get it sublingually. And so it hits you pretty quickly. And like, there's one in my purse right now. They're easy, like they don't melt or get squished. It's like if it's fudge over time, you can't really keep them in your purse. But I don't know. I like the lollipops, and then also in turn the jewels. They're the exact same thing, except for in a different shape in a multi-flavor pack. So it's just kind of easy to, you're out stressing in the world. Right, a lollipop. So.
My tolerance for edibles is pretty low. So, I mean, our edibles are really strong for me. It's different than, using flour. Edibles just hit different. But I think if I had to pick one, I like the mint fudge, the hint of mint fudge. It's kind of cool and creamy. And it's, it smells, I love peppermints. Even in the holidays, I love those little mint truffles and stuff like, flavor for the holidays. So I think mint fudge is my favorite. But I try not to sample it because it hits so hard.
Right. Save it for after work when everything's all done.
When you can have
Awesome.
a recliner.
Well, this has been great and so insightful. I loved highlighting your guys' business and hearing your story. It's such a unique and beautiful story. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to sign off really quick here.
You see a stove behind us the whole time.
Wait.
Well, we cook on the stove.
I know, I just